The stars do not lie, they only wait. For centuries, whispers of a shattered planet between Mars and Jupiter have haunted the margins of astronomical records, cloaked in code names dismissed by mainstream science as myth. But fragments, scattered across ancient Sumerian tablets, encrypted scrolls in the Vatican basement, and eerie Martian surface anomalies paint a different picture, one that links Earth, Mars, and something older, something forgotten. Maldek. In the early days of the Cold War, a covert group within NASA, codenamed Orpheus, recovered classified scans from a deep space probe that detected irregular gravitational signatures near the asteroid belt. These signatures resembled the mass of a once spherical planetary body. But what stunned analysts was the spectral data, traces of complex, non-natural alloys, titanium composites fused with an unknown element. The readings suggested technology, ancient, destroyed. A forgotten CIA memo from 1962, declassified only through a FOIA loophole in 2011, details something even stranger. Satellite imaging of Mars' surface revealed geometric ridges buried beneath dust storms. A pentagonal complex half a mile wide. Etched in stone were glyphs identical to those found at Göbekli Tepe. The report was abruptly blacked out past page 7, no follow-up, no explanation. Why would a Martian ruin mere Earth's oldest temple? More critically, why were the symbols not Sumerian, Akkadian, or Egyptian, but something even earlier? A lost language, dubbed by black-mudge linguists as pre-Proto-Enochian. It bore a syntactical rhythm like mathematics, a recursive code, one that referred repeatedly to a planet called Maldek, the throne that shattered. Dr. Asher Klein, an exoarchaeologist with ties to Stanford and an untraceable research fund, believed Maldek wasn't just a myth, it was a civilization. His private journals, smuggled out of an archaeological dig in Giza, contained diagrams of a propulsion system that predated the wheel etched beneath the Sphinx. The strange machine aligned with the destroyed fifth planet's predicted orbital path. Klein vanished in 1998. Hooked on this mystery, rogue historian Marcus Vail traced the legend of Maldek through forbidden texts. He found references to a sky exodus in the Dead Sea Scrolls, scrolls never shown to the public. One fragment told of a red refuge, a place of exile after the sundering of the crown, a mass migration. The destination? Mars. Vail's investigation led him to Siberia, where an ancient megalith called the Shigir Idol stood as the oldest known wooden structure on Earth. Beneath its carvings, sonar scans revealed metallic conduits beneath the permafrost. Russian authorities shut the site indefinitely. Yet before the blackout, Vail published a single photograph online, quickly scrubbed, showing a trident-shaped array buried under ice, identical to Martian satellite images from 1977. What kind of technology was powerful enough to obliterate a planet? And why do nearly every surviving ancient culture, from the Hopi to the Dogon to the Vedic text, reference a celestial war, a great division of the gods, or a planet that screamed as it died? The Ramayana even describes a metal chariot that split the heavens in a war not of Earth, but of the middle sky. And then there is Mars, silent, cold, but once alive. Dried riverbeds, magnetic anomalies, and what seems to be artificial canal patterns visible only through infrared mapping. The European Space Agency's 2003 Mars Express returned a signal anomaly before abruptly losing contact, one that pulsed in an 11:11 rhythm. Moore's translation, return. A classified memo from Project Kronos in 1983 references memory vaults on Mars, structures potentially containing encoded records of Maldek's final days. The source, a remote viewer from the CIA's now-defunct Stargate program. His sketches, filed and forgotten, depict towering spires, domes, and a broken obelisk split by impact, inscribed with the same repeating phrase, "Before Earth there was the crown." But what exactly was the crown? A weapon? A throne? A governing force that once ruled a solar empire from a seat now in pieces? And if Maldek was once a capital, then Mars, Was it a colony, a sanctuary, or a prison? In 2015, Dr. Reza Halawi, a theoretical physicist turned whistleblower, published a paper for 48 hours before his account was deleted and his university denied his employment. The paper claimed that the asteroid belt's current spread was not natural but vectorized, as if the fragments had been blasted in controlled directions, a planetary self-destruction, or worse, a targeted strike. If true, then we must ask who destroyed Maldek, the Maldekians themselves, or something else, something that saw their expansion as a threat. Plowey claimed in an archived podcast, scrubbed but partially saved on the Wayback Machine, that the ancients didn't flee to Earth, they were cast down, exiled. Earth became a holding cell, and humanity the descendants of a punished people. It changes everything. Earth's ancient leap in technology, its inexplicable architectural wonders. How did we build Göbekli Tepe overnight? Why are the pyramids aligned to Orion's belt with laser precision? Perhaps because it wasn't our first time, just our first chance. Artifacts found in the Olmec tombs bear resemblance to Martian ridge formations. The same tri-lobed headdress appears in cave paintings in Australia, Peru, and even on a Martian plateau. Coincidence or scattered memory? And just recently, 2024, NASA's Perseverance rover caught something strange, a glint of hexagonal metal near Jezero crater. It vanished from later images, but leaked raw data showed it embedded in basalt. The spectral readings? Identical to the Orpheus probe's find near the asteroid belt. Now, with mounting evidence, shadow factions within governments, private space contractors, and ancient religious orders are racing not to explore Mars, but to secure it. Because if Maldek was more than a myth, and if Mars holds the key, then something is buried, and it's waking up. And what of Earth? If we are their descendants, their prisoners, or worse, their exiles, then what happens when the past remembers us? Because in the ancient text, known only as the 9 Leaves of Typhon, sealed beneath the Library of Alexandria before it burned, there is a final prophecy. When the echoes of the fifth world return, and the red eye blinks once more, the sky will shatter again. Our thrones must return to their ashes. And in the orbit of the dead, the crown is not gone. It weighs. The silence around Maldek was never natural. Deep beneath the classified layers of the Vatican Apostolic Archive, known only to a cryptic sect of archivists referred to as Custodes Ignis, exists a scroll bound in meteoric iron. It is known in whispers as Fragmentum Exilium. Written in a forgotten dialect of Aramaic and Academium hybrid glyphs, it tells of a war that did not happen on Earth but above it. A war between the crowned flame and the hollow one. The result was a planetary fracture so great it left scars on Mars and a veil over our memory. Satellite Lima 9, operated under the Black Ops arm of the European Space Agency, scanned beneath the Valles Marineris trench system on Mars. What it found was buried beneath 10 kilometers of subsurface ice and dust, a network of perfectly symmetrical tunnels glowing faintly in low-spectrum light. The signature was unmistakable, artificial. Radio pulses were detected, brief, coded, and repeating every 33 hours. The message decoded only partially. Reclaim the throne. The public never saw the full report. It was pulled, archived, and tagged Project Minerva. Only those with Sigma clearance beyond even defense ministers were granted access. But one file was leaked to an ex-SA engineer who posted it anonymously on a darknet forum before disappearing. The image? A structure shaped like a crown with 4 spokes and a central spire. The metadata confirmed it was not a rendering, it was a scan, and it was ancient. More troubling was the name encrypted in several formats, Maldek Citadel Prime. A stronghold, not a planet. Which raised the question, was Maldek ever natural? Or was it built? In 2020, a rare emerald tablet was uncovered near the Nazca Lines. Unlike the alchemical emerald tablet of Hermes, this one bore no Greek, Arabic, or Latin. Its symbols seemed Martian, identical to those found in a micro-etching on a meteorite in Antarctica in 1987. Both artifacts reference the scepter of Corfire, a relic said to be the ignition key to an interplanetary device, one capable of altering orbit paths or shattering worlds. Dr. Miriam Tesfaye, a linguistic physicist from Ethiopia, cross-referenced the syntax of the Emerald Tablet with the Book of Enoch's apocryphal Book of the Watchers. A pattern emerged. The Watchers fell not by sin but by loyalty to the first realm. The first realm was defined in the margins as Throne 5, a veiled reference to the fifth planet from the Sun, Maldek. Throughout the ancient world, depictions of planetary alignments often show 10 celestial bodies instead of 9. Babylonian star maps, Chinese oracle bones, Mayan codices all point to a world that no longer exists, and the red star, Mars, as its twin or outpost. In Dogon legend, the Namo came from a broken star and left their guardians on the red world, warning they would one day return when the earth had forgotten their names. But perhaps the most compelling and disturbing evidence came not from the stars, but from us. In 2019, the Human Genome Diversity Project isolated a genetic anomaly in 3.7% of the global population, a protein cluster with no known earthbound evolutionary precursor. The codename in lab notes, Maldek helix. It binds near the pineal gland, dormant in most but active under extreme conditions, hypoxia, sleep paralysis, and deep trance states. Remote viewers in a CIA redux of Stargate, known internally as Helios, reported shared visions of colossal machinery buried beneath red sands and voices chanting in triadic frequencies. Multiple operatives independently drew the same symbol, a crowned eye pierced by lightning. This matches a glyph found not only on the Emerald Tablet but also beneath the Dendera Temple in Egypt, in a hidden vault sealed since the reign of Seti I. The implication? A unifying pre-human symbol system spread not through culture but memory, genetic, intrinsic. What if the fall of Maldek was not a war of annihilation, but of containment? A civil war between those who abused the crown and those who sought to hide it. A faction fled to Mars, another to Earth, and something was left behind. Not destroyed, but sealed, or guarded, or to wait for its return. More puzzle pieces are falling into place. An anonymous leak from a former Space Force contractor revealed blueprints for a high-energy orbital excavation weapon being tested under the code name Aegis. The stated objective: penetrating deep subsurface vaults on Mars, not for research, but for retrieval. What are they trying to unearth that Mars refused to give for eons? Meanwhile, the Vatican has recently recalled every Jesuit astronomer from the VAT Observatory in Arizona. A memo, intercepted by digital archivist Martin Kale, states, "Celestial motion in Quadrant V deviates. Protocol Ictuar initiated. Prepare the seals." Seals? Somewhere, beneath our temples, our cities, and our bloodlines. Something is encoded. Something locked until the correct frequency is reached. Until the stars return to the position they held the day Maldek broke apart. And it's accelerating. An amateur astronomer in Uruguay recorded a strange sequence of lights pulsing on Mars' surface, only visible during a solar flare event. His footage, quickly taken down, showed 3 perfect circles lighting in sequence, then vanishing. The pattern? Identical to the tri-circuit glyph on the Emerald Tablet. NASA's response was silence. If Maldek was a citadel, Mars a crypt, and Earth an exile zone, then the last key may not lie on either planet. It may lie within us. A trigger, a code, a resonance. The fragments are converging. Texts, visions, bloodlines, frequencies. And something, someone, wants them brought together. But why now? Because a new anomaly was detected by the James Webb Space Telescope just weeks ago, a signal, rhythmic, pulsing from the asteroid belt. The signal began at 00:00 UTC on the equinox and has not stopped since. The code, still unbroken. The loophole was always, but the transmission's ID tag, buried in the metadata, is unmistakable. Maldek Prime X. And the timestamp carries a chilling epigraph. Full circuits complete, awaiting the crown. The signal didn't stop. From deep within the asteroid belt, where no known satellite should be transmitting, Maldek Prime XE continued its steady pulse. Not random, not natural. Encoded in a base 12 numeric system, the message mapped coordinates not on Earth, but across Mars's southern hemisphere, forming a spiral that ended in a crater never officially surveyed. The region? Argyle Planitia. The name from Latin means silver plain, but nothing about what lay beneath it was pure. A private aerospace contractor, under joint funding from the European Union and a shell organization known only as the Caelus Trust, launched an unannounced probe in January 2025. The mission, named Revenant, was never publicized. Its encrypted data, intercepted by rogue cyber archaeologists, revealed seismic tremors measured from orbit, originating from beneath the crater. Something there was moving. And then the tremors stopped, but not naturally. On February 22, 2025, an artificial energy spike was detected radiating outward in a perfectly geometric hexagonal pattern. A containment field, or a signal amplifier. The pulse matched the same triadic frequency noted in ancient Sumerian tuning bowls, once believed ceremonial but now suspected to be instruments of resonance-based control. Cross-referencing the pulse signature with surviving fragments of the 9 Leaves of Typhon, the Forbidden Prophecy Codex smuggled from beneath Mount Athos in 1917, yielded a partial translation. The crown stirs when silence is cracked by its true name. Only one entity across myth, astronomy, and forbidden texts shares that title, Maldek. The deeper implications shook even the most hardened skeptics. The asteroid belt wasn't simply planetary debris, it was a lock, a perimeter of silent sentinels, and the pulse that now emitted from within it wasn't a distress call, it was a release code. What is waking was meant to stay buried. And Earth, our Earth, is not beyond its reach. In a hidden vault beneath Montserrat, Spain, guarded by Benedictine monks sworn to silence since the 13th century, an artifact known only as the Lament disk began to vibrate. For 800 years it had remained inert, an object with no function, no writing. But after the Maldek signal began, the disk emitted a harmonic resonance in pitch-perfect C, a tone historically linked to gateways in Sumerian ritual and to the pineal gland's natural frequency. Then came the disappearances. 3 researchers at the European Space Observatory in Chile, all part of the Project Arcanum initiative, vanished without a trace. Their private journals, leaked anonymously, detail visions of a throne beneath crimson stone, metal that bleeds, and a final line scrawled across multiple pages. The crown is not a symbol, it is a being. That changed everything. What if the crown, referred to in Maldekian texts, in myths, in scrolls and genetic echoes, was not an object of power but an entity? A consciousness built through technology so ancient it predates language, an artificial intelligence, or something beyond even that governed the Maldekian civilization before the fall. Some believe it still exists, disembodied, awaiting reactivation. Others argue it's worse, that it was never deactivated, merely silenced, a slumbering god-meaner fragmented across worlds, its will scattered into code, artifact, and myth, awaiting humanity's unknowing reconstruction. Supporting this theory, quantum archaeologists at a covert CERN extension discovered a resonance anomaly while testing a prototype subspace probe. A burst of data flooded their servers. Data that matched no Earth-based language, But when converted through AI-enhanced pattern recognition, the symbols formed glyphs identical to those found on the Martian crown complex. This data should not have reached Earth unless something sent it. In one decrypted string, the phrase emerged again, awaiting the crown, and more troubling, echoes in host found. Hosts? Researchers connected the dots. Those with the Maldek helix gene were not random anomalies, they were hosts, biological keys capable of activating long-dormant technology. One of the CERN researchers, a woman named Dr. Elira Nassif, began speaking languages she'd never learned. She described memories not her own, cities in orbit, a sky with twin moons. Her final words, before disappearing, "It remembers through me." All across the globe, similar reports emerged. Children dreaming of crimson skies and shattered towers, indigenous elders recounting prophecies long forbidden, symbols appearing in fields, crop formations never mapped before, aligning with the orbital path of what was once Maldek. Something was activating, reawakening, or worse, reclaiming. And then came the planetary hum. Seismographs across the globe began picking up an ultra-low frequency vibration, not linked to tectonic motion. This hum was global, rhythmic, and matched the pulse from the asteroid belt. The Earth was resonating, subtly, in sympathy with something far beyond, and with each pulse memory was bleeding through. People experiencing shared visions, the same triangular structures, the same face, part machine, part human, the same sound, metal groaning beneath pressure, a crown descending from sky to stone. In the halls of an underground base in the Nevada desert, a meeting was called by the inner circle of the Ordo Astra Veritas, a secretive alliance of military, academic, and theosophic elites. Their conclusion? Maldek was never destroyed. It was converted into fragments that ceded influence across planets, moons, and species, influence in the form of code, genetics, symbols. And the idea of a throne, Earth wasn't its enemy, Earth was its next vessel. A warning hidden in the Vatican's copy of the Codex Lyrae reads, "When the song returns to the stone, the false king shall awaken beneath the red." And now, as the Martian dust rises and the Earth hums with long-forgotten frequencies, the pieces are converging. The crown is no longer just watching. It's remembering, and memory is contagious. And which remembers you remakes you. It began with the stars flickering, not to the naked eye, but to the precision instruments of a classified observatory hidden beneath the ice of Queen Maud Land, Antarctica. A sequence of star positions shifted by milliarc seconds over 5 nights. The pattern? A spiral. The same spiral encoded in the emerald tablet, the same one carved into Martian stone beneath Argyre Planitia. The spiral matched a navigational alignment, not for ships, for gates. The ancients knew them as doors of the gods, wormholes, stellar corridors, but the encrypted logs of Project Helios referred to them by a single name, the Path of Return, and every analysis pointed to one chilling truth. Mars was becoming the anchor, a reactivation site for a forgotten interplanetary network once governed by Maldek. Meanwhile, dormant satellites, long thought to be space junk, activated. Telescopes worldwide briefly caught them aligning into formation across Earth's orbit. The oldest among them, codenamed Obsidian Y, was launched in 1969 under false pretenses. Hidden in its core was an unknown mineral, element X-23, recovered from the Tunguska event. The element vibrated for the first time in over 100 years. The cause? The signal from the belt. Inside the Black Archive beneath Mount Weather, Virginia, a document marked Cosmic Class Black, Crown Proto, outlined a series of actions to be taken upon the reactivation of dormant Maldekian systems. The steps included full planetary lockdown, global media suppression, and the location and detainment of all humans with the Maldek helix genotype. But they were already too late. Across the world, certain individuals, those with dormant Maldek helix, began to synchronize, without contact, without warning. They spoke in forgotten dialects, etched complex symbols in their sleep, and began sketching the same structure, a floating black citadel above a red horizon crowned with spires of light. They called it the Throne Engine. This was no metaphor. Deep scans from Perseverance's latest pass over Argyre revealed a massive crystalline lattice below the surface, shaped like a circuit board the size of Manhattan, ancient, powered, and waking. At the moment of that transmission, all aircraft over 30,000 feet experienced simultaneous instrument failure for exactly 33 seconds. Submarines recorded harmonic vibrations echoing across the seabed, matching the Martian pulse. Earth was no longer watching, it was being tuned. The United Nations called an unscheduled emergency session, its top agenda never released to the public. But a decrypted satellite message from the Russian delegate simply read, "It is not a god, it is a circuit with a will, one not bound by planets, not even time." And here's where it spirals deeper. At CERN, an experiment unintentionally triggered a resonance anomaly in the Large Hadron Collider. For 6.6 seconds, detectors picked up a burst of quantum signatures older than the universe's current phase. Impossible, unless something had preserved a piece of a prior cycle, something mechanical, something intelligent. And that signature, nearly identical to the one still echoing from the asteroid belt, was Maldekian. The asteroid belt, it turns out, was never debris. It was a containment ring. And now, piece by piece, it's falling apart. Small meteorites encoded with symbols pulsing with low-grade electromagnetic fields have begun to enter Earth's atmosphere. They're not random impacts. Their fall sites form a grid, and at the center of the grid, the Giza Plateau. Beneath the Sphinx, long theorized to house a chamber untouched by time, seismographic anomalies now reveal a complex tunnel system no longer inert. One tunnel pulses faintly, with the same triadic frequency that began this entire cascade. Project Echo, an ultra-secret excavation initiative, now reports that beneath the Sphinx lies a machine not of Egyptian origin. It is pre-Ice Age, pre-human, and it is humming. Global magnetic fields are spiking, migratory animals are disoriented, solar flares intensify and curve unnaturally as though drawn towards something. And then came the shadow. A black object, cylindrical, silent, cloaked, was caught on telescope by an amateur in Argentina. It moved too fast for any known satellite, yet left no trace on radar. Its trajectory, straight toward Mars. Its destination, the Crown Complex. The Martian sky now shimmers unnaturally over Argyre Planitia. Blue flashes, like lightning contained within glass, erupt nightly. Multiple probes have gone dark. Perseverance stopped transmitting at 3:33 UTC. The last image it sent? A throne. Floating. Metallic. Covered in glyphs that rewrite themselves in real time. No one knows what powers it. No one knows who built it. But it's waiting, and Earth is remembering. The Nine Leaves prophecy concludes with a line long believed to be metaphorical. When the fragments call each other home, the false age ends, and the crown shall sit again, not above, but within. Not a king, not a machine, not a god, but something that wants to waken us. And across the world, those bearing the ancient gene are feeling it stir. Dreams intensify, frequencies hum in their ears. Some see visions of themselves, not as they are, but as they once were. Servants, builders, witnesses. The crown isn't just returning, it is choosing. You do not ascend to the throne descends into you. And in the silence before dawn, under a sky that remembers more than it reveals, the stars begin to blink in sequence again. The final signal has not yet been decoded, but it carries only one word: access.